You are the ones having the conversation, and then I'm adding my 2 cents. So, from the opening of the book through the introduction, not yet principle one, we're going to do that tomorrow. What are your guys' takeaways? What do you want to start with? I got all kinds of stuff. In fact, you know what? I'm going to backtrack just a hair because we have new people in the room. I want to give you kind of some of our structure. I got the book. I want you all to have the book. I've got the green highlighter, green, the color of money. So this is all my highlighters for all my books. And you will see as I'm reading, I am highlighting in here, over here on this page, and lots of other pages. It makes it easy that way for me to bring something into the room should I want to make sure something's covered. So I would love for you guys to follow the same model. It's all about systems and models to build habits, and habits are what determine your future. So again, what do you guys have that you've highlighted or not yet that you want to bring into the room? Rhonda, go for it, my dear. Kick us off.
Be awesome and help somebody. That was the first thing that just jumped out at me. Like, oh, yep, let's do this. Let's just be awesome and help somebody.
And think about this, Rhonda, as you know from the other content that we have shared in this room, you and everybody else is already awesome. You were created in perfection and awesomeness. So part of being awesome is just being authentic, being you, letting the real you show up and watch the magic happen. And of course, be awesome, learn the material, implement it, and service will happen automatically. Miss Sarah Robbins, you are up next.
The thing I highlighted, one of the things I highlighted was the key to success is creation and cooperation, not competition. And then as I got further in, the personal mastery, right at the top, the quote at the top is basically what I said yesterday. So
I can't wait to jump into that bad boy tomorrow on that piece. But let's go to the creation and cooperation, not competition. So I'd love for you to add some flesh to that because I absolutely had that highlighted as well. I think that's mission critical for people to understand going forward of how we're going to implement this ninja selling with that.
So we talked about when everybody was saying, what do we hope to get out of this book? A lot of systems. And I do need systems. I need systems. I need to set my calendar in stone. I have to divide my time between 3 separate things. So I really need to get my calendar in order. So the creation of these systems, and the cooperation of the people around me, I think that's going to be highly important. And it's not a competition. Let's just work together and be successful. That's kind of the attitude that I have there. Because when you start implementing systems, people start to, oh my gosh, it's change. But they don't realize that it's, systems help us become better.
Yes, systems are what are really going to make the difference for you guys. And then they show up as habits, and all of a sudden shows up as massive success. And yes, there's going to be some hard work here. So I see one on. I'm muting for a sec because I'm watching background noise. So if I muted you, that's the only reason. I will be calling on people. I love how you're all jumping in here. I wanted to put in the room, though, something for all of you because you're going to be doing some work this year, especially these next couple months on building this. Everyone is jealous of what you got. No one is jealous of how you got there. You're going to be doing some work. You're going to be heads down. You're going to be looking in. I can't wait to watch the magic happen because we're doing it together in collaboration. Shara, you're up next. What do you got, my dear?
Well, before the introduction and the preface, I love the ninja versus samurai story. If you've been in business for any length of time, you've probably found some complacency. We're in a changing business. whether it's markets, economies, growth, non-growth, whatever it is, real estate, or really any type of sales is always changing. So you have to continually be reinventing. And I love the fact that that the emperor didn't replace the samurais. He had a plan B, a second line of defense. And I feel like what we have is in our mastermind, this is a mindset mastermind. So we are always growing our mindset. But I also think that in business, we have that second line of defense when we are working together. We're working in teams, we're working in squads, however you want to call that. So these invisible warriors became known as ninjas, quiet, unassuming, talented people who got results without the ego.
So here's the fun part in this comparison of samurai and ninja. The samurai were the hunters. They were the aggressors. They brought the fight to the enemy. And yet the ninjas, the second line, were the ones that had a higher level of ultimate success. I want you guys to look at this through the lens of what I expect from you guys. All of you initially in our models here in the Renegade world are to, in essence, be samurais first. Get into action, get into activity, get into prospecting, get into conversations, because you're all paid in direct proportion to the number of conversations you have. And yet, as you learn and implement this, it's going to drive inbound conversations. This overlaid with marketing changes the game and gets you a business. You're samurais, and I'm a hell of a samurai. They have a job, and they crank out a lot of real estate in a JOB model, and we all know them out there. They're hustling, they're working, they're cranking the phones. I want you guys to start there, but we're going to make this shift over to implementing these items. So that being said, Josh, your mic was hot earlier. You're up next, and I got a lot of people in the queue, so just hold tight for me, people. Josh Wheelock, going once, twice. All right, then I'm going to bounce to April. April, you're up.
All right. So I really also like the ninja and samurai comparison. I think it's a really good way to also kind of keep your ego intact too. Am I a samurai or am I being a ninja right now? And then I also what stuck out to me was no pressure selling and selling on purpose salesperson. I think a lot of times being a salesperson, you're so focused on that commission that sometimes that comes out in like how you speak. And I think that also it's going to like teach us how to run your brain and focus your energy is going to be super helpful too.
Well, let's talk a little more on that. Focus on the commission. Mm-hmm. Because you absolutely are not incorrect in stating that. And yet what causes that to happen is because you're in a place of lack. Mm-hmm. That's what makes you show up with commission breath and having that energy of, I got to have this deal. I got to have that sale. And that comes through. And so the fun part for me when Larry was talking about the teachers that showed up for him, Marshall Thumber taught me the very important lesson that the universe is set up around abundance, not scarcity. By show of hands in this room, how many of you know the word paranoid? Raise your hands if you've ever heard the word paranoid. Awesome. Put them down a minute because I'm just going to give you my definition. It's probably somewhat accurate. Paranoia is the belief that the universe is conspiring against you, right? Things are going to go bad. It's what you've been trained. It's what you've been taught. It's what you've been marinating in your entire life is this negative energy. How many of you, and write it down, have ever heard of the word pronoid before me? Okay. Pronoid is the opposite view. It is the view that the universe is conspiring for your success. It's there to help. And if you just lean in, magic will happen. I expect all of you in this mindset shift that we're going to do over the next couple of months, that you become very pronoid and know that the people around you are there to help you, and the universe is conspiring for your success. Dustin Olson, brother, you are up.
It just made me wonder what the Noid was with dominoes there for a second, but I guess I'm dating myself. So I wanted to bring a little bit more attention to a stat that he pulled out there when he was talking about Nate, and saying that the average real estate agent does 6 sales into a year. So last year, according to NAR, something like 70% of the agents sold less than 5 homes. 49% didn't even sell a home. So I think we're in the type of market too, where success today just really means you've got to actually put in the work. You've got to deliver value, which he talks a lot about in the preface, but it also means sharpening the skills, finding clients in creative, strategic ways. But complaining is not going to close deals. Excuses won't pay the bills. So the only way forward is to do the work. So I know we say it all the time, but I want to make sure that we're all well aware that knowledge is not power. It's the potential for power, and it's the action where the power is. So the difference between Nate's and Glenn's story is he mentioned that Nate was an unbelievably hard worker and he worked the system. And Gina only had from 8 to 2 because she had a special needs child. So she had to laser focus and work. So just a good emphasis. I know we're all in this room to get results. So just reading the book won't get us there.
So think about this piece, though, with Gina. In like a 4-month span, she made $155,000 from 8 to 2 o'clock, 5 days a week. If she did it, if someone else does it and they share with you exactly how they do it, could you do the same steps? Yes or yes? So we're going to be asking you guys to do these steps, just like Dustin's talking about. We're going to be taking action. We're going to overlay some other activities for you guys. We're going to talk about it today. Miss Carrie, you're up.
Okay, so I have the book and I'm on page 10. So under mastery, it says mastery is a product of consistently going beyond our limits, commitment to that, commitment to the excellence. So we can't just, obviously we can't just, it would be so nice if we could just do all the work and then be there, right? And just keep going. But we actually really have to not take too much of a break and can continue to go, if a break at all, to keep going and doing the same thing. Otherwise, it's not going to be, it's not going to be consistent.
And you said something important that you kind of let hang there. I want to make sure we bring in there, Carrie. It's exceeding your comfort zone. This is going to get uncomfortable, and that's okay. In fact, you'll know you're doing the right work if you're not liking it, if you're uncomfortable and you're not enjoying it. So, Mark, you're up, brother.
So it says here, on purpose selling, because the Ninja selling system gives you a predictable result, you can now be on purpose salesman versus an on accident salesperson who has no system. That is one of the things that has been eluding me in probably in the last 5 years. And it basically systems in place. And when I think about systems, I think about systems on keeping me on top of the activities I'm supposed to be doing. So this thought process of all of us being accountable to each other excites the hell out of me, along with the uncomfortableness. And I had my first coaching call, my first real coaching call of the year. Guess what? It didn't feel real good.
Well, it's not supposed to. I absolutely love that. Carrie, I saw your mic hot and I muted you, and then client, you're going to be right after that. Going once, going twice, Carrie.
I'm sorry, I had to get the rest of it. So
You got it.
The given point in time, choose better play. Well, this one I highlighted so much. It was Ninja Mindset. I don't
Throw
know.
a piece in there. There's no wrong piece, Carrie. Go.
At any given point in time, a human chooses to be either a player or a victim. So I think I was a victim for a lot of my life, and something changed, and now I've decided to be not a victim and to be better and to try to continue to do more. Continuing is hard sometimes, but I've already felt to be good and to become a leader is much better feeling than anything else. I want to strive, so I don't want to be there.
Do me a favor, read that back in the room again. At
Yeah.
any given point in time.
Yes. At any given, it's chapter 1, the first page. At any given point in time, a human chooses to be either a player or a victim.
So we're a hair ahead, and yet I want to talk about this, guys, because I hear all the time that differentiation. And so I'm going to share with you, again, I want you to write it down so it's in front of you, one of my coaching sentences. Stop telling me why not and start telling me how to. Whenever you're saying why not, you're in victim mode.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, whenever you're making excuses, the reasons it can't be done. And if you just stay focused on how to, you will unleash your creative brain and magic will happen. Alicia, I saw you pop in, and then I know I've got Jeanette in the wings.
So, right here, it just says a good selling system works for all personality types. And it gives the 4 characteristics. But the first one is my favorite because it's a documented and proven process that's written down. You can hand it to someone. You can hold it in your hands.
Yeah.
So that's what I need.
Every bit of this, every one of you can implement this system. And we're going to be workshopping it, I believe, to make that happen. So make sure, and I see lots of you heads down writing notes. That makes me smile. Keep it going. Other piece of this is stick it out. So many people start something and then they stop. Get through this entire process with us and watch how different 2025 is. Jeanette, you're up.
I just want to say, second time through this book, there is a whole new commitment for me to this process. I've seen the process. I like that it's quiet. There's a place where it talks about it, the vital few in here. But really, what caught my attention yesterday when I was reading it, and again today, mastery is in one's career and consciousness simply requires we constantly produce results beyond and out of the ordinary. Mastery is a product of consistently going beyond our limits. And when I read that last night as I was reading it, I went, "Oh yeah, really?" And I went, "Oh, I know that thought has been there." Last night I dealt with it. And
Nice.
I dealt with it and I went, "Wait a minute, that's not me saying that." Because that is what I had believed about myself. And it's been, 27 years that's been in the way. And not being able to, it's like you keep your head, you get to a certain point and then it's like, well, okay, not getting further. This year, that's not the limitation. And I am literally taking time and seeing myself going beyond that. I'm not just reading in a book and talking about it here. I am intentionally seeing myself that I am getting through, that I'm seeing on the other side in ways that I hadn't before. That's a game changer.
Awesome. And I love the fact that, again, each day I watch you, Jeanette, implement something. You learn a nugget, and even if it's small, it's so interesting how we get into judgment about the quantity of our implementation or the size of our implementation. Whatever it is, you take one nugget a day and do something just like Jeanette did, and you're going to have an incredible 2025. Now, Camacho, I want everybody to know about you, know you're here. Is your mic hot and you ready to chat about something?
It's hot. I got something funny to share.
Bring it in, and then I want to chat about you for a moment.
So I'm on the introduction, the first page. I think it's paragraph 4. And I just chuckled out loud reading this. It says, "What do you do if you want to live someplace and you can't find a job? You go into sales." I mean, I felt like this. I felt like everybody on this call is from the island of misfits in Rudolph. You know, I mean now real estate and insurance, they're becoming more of a career option, and yet for many of us, this was our final result. This is like burn the boats.
Yeah. Well, how many people, by show of hands, in high school, your goal was to become a real estate agent? Right? Yeah, it's I call it the last bastion of the uninitiated for most people. And yet, gosh darn it, we can make magic happen, and a lot of us do. So Robert Camacho is one of those that does. And so I want you guys to know he is my partner in this. There may be times where he is leading in this space a little more than I am. And I intend on making that happen on a regular basis. So I am looking for the noise. Robert, thank you. And someone else did that under my hot. Colleen, I'm coming to you.
Oh, okay. Hey, I guess what stuck out to me, everything everybody else mentioned did, but the Pareto rule, the 80-20 rule, I really have been wanting to focus more on that because I feel like a lot of the activities that I do end up being kind of wasteful, and just focusing more on making use of my time and not, I feel like sometimes that, like last year, that I worked so many ungodly hours and made such little amount of money to show for it. So that's what I want to flip this year and focus on those activities that are, the 20%.
So here's what you're going to learn in here is the system for that's coming up is the calendar. And we're probably going to do a deep dive on that outside of this room for those that want to. And I suspect, Colleen, if I asked you and probably 80% of this room to show me this week's calendar, it wouldn't have a lot of the real estate job description laid out on the calendar and planned. And so you guys, we're going to work on that. We're going to get that going. I love that you brought that in, Colleen, and it absolutely is a core introduction step 1 piece. Nafrita, you're up.
So I love that Colleen brought that in because I was literally going to speak on that same 80-20 rule. And it was just the numbers that was fascinating to me, right? Because it did say that 20% of the world's population enjoys 80% of the world's wealth. 20% of the land produces 80% of the food, and 20% of the plants produces 80% of the oxygen. And so 80% of our results come from 20% or less of our activities. And I thought, wow, if I could just stay focused on the core, the foundation, and get rid of all the chatter and the noise that's saying, I need to do this first or that first, how much more can I actually get done? And I thought that was so powerful. Also, he mentioned to work the system, and then the system will work for you. And so he brought into the space that in 2012, there were 2 million active realtors. And then I looked up for 2024, there's only 1.5 million active realtors, which tells us that a large chunk, around, I kind of broke it down to about 40,000 if you was to divide it per year, dropped out from 2012 to 2024. And I thought, wow, that is so much. And I had to, in that moment, like, okay, I need to lean into the work, but then also I need to kind of give myself a pat on the back for not quitting, for not giving up, because many did fall out. So if you've been in real estate for a while and been feeling discouraged, you're not getting the results, working hard and not seeing it, the fact that you're still here means something. So just lean in. And the last thing he said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So you're here for a reason.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that, Nafrita. And yes, the 80-20 rule, for some, it's even closer to 90-10. And Nafrita, I have to ask, get your mic hot. just from a Coach Russ perspective, what do you think is maybe the key one of those 20% activities I want you to focus on?
Lead generation, having conversations, and building on the communication.
Conversations, baby. This is a contact sport. We get to connect with people, and one of my favorite people to connect to has popped in and has got his mic hot. My senior partner, I was loving on you, Don Hobbs. I got somebody for you to meet who's amazing, 60 units a year and still doesn't have her own brand. And Josh and I are getting her in front of you to help on that piece. The king of branding, the one who changed our industry, Mr. Don Hobbs, brother. What do you got today to add into the room on this first section?
You know, a couple of things, guys. First of all, good morning, everybody. What a great discussion. And Russ, this book excites me. I keep saying, I just told Alexandra the other day that's here, this is the book on real estate. To me, the most current real book on real estate that you could possibly get into. Okay, let me go back. I forget who it was that brought up Tina, and the story of Tina was really important because Tina had a special needs child and had to get done in a short amount of time. So she had a time frame. Okay, I want to go to a concept that some of you that have been around me have heard me talk about before, which is called the vacation miracle. And it has to do with, did you ever notice how effective you are right before you go on vacation? So you're leaving on Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, you're shutting off. And this week, you are on point. You are right there. You are effective. You are doing the stuff that needs to get done and doing nothing that doesn't need to get done. Anybody ever notice that that's what happens? Give me a nod, give me a hands up, right? So what would happen if you were in vacation mode? That's what Tina was in. For all intents and purposes, she was in family mode. This is what my restrictions are. This is my time frame. So I want to go back to then what Nafritha just talked about and whoever brought up the 80-20 rule in the first place. And that is, if you realize that one of the first things you have to do in your world is you have to decide not just what you are going to do. One of the biggest sets of decisions you'll make is around what you're not going to do. And when you're on vacation, in that vacation mode, you're like, oh, listen, I'd love to have coffee, but I can't this week because I'm leaving. Hey, I'd love to do that, but I'm not going to be able to because I'm leaving. And everything becomes about focused on the things that you have to get done because you know on Friday at 3 o'clock, you're done. And guys, if you lived in that mode as Tina did because of her reasons, and you did them for your reasons, whatever that is. What if you realized that you just wanted to work till noon every day and then go eat bonbons and watch reruns? Listen, I'm fine with that. It's not the best, probably the best approach to your whole life, but I'm just telling you, if you realize how little the average agent works, and you were to put that time focused on the things that really matter, that 80-20, 90-10, Russ, 95-5.
Yep.
I mean, it's very few activities that make everything happen.
Amen. Stop chasing the squirrels, right, Don?